running out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the bag. Hey, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast. Hey, hey, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss. Hey.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by the NMFTA. Let me ask you a question. Do you ship LTL freight? Then listen up, because the NMFC changes went live on July 19th, and they're the biggest updates in the history of freight classification. Now more than ever, accuracy matters. That's why carriers, shippers, and brokers alike are turning to Class IT Plus, the NMFTA's new digital platform for real-time NMFC data. Stop guessing, start classifying smarter, and quote freight with confidence. It's time to get your ship together because the NMFC changes are already here. Learn more at nmfcchanges.com and get started with Class IT Plus at classitplus.com. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. I'm going to bring him up in just a second, but my team just notified me that we're having issues on LinkedIn to getting the stream up. This happens, unfortunately, more frequently on that platform than everyone else. That's why I try and get you guys all over to YouTube, because that has the best quality stream that's out there. But they're working to see, and it might just be a connectivity issue out there. But we're live on YouTube. That's where the majority of you guys watch out there. But today, you guys, we're going to be talking mobile mechanics again. We're going to be talking about another side of the industry that I think has a major upside for career potential, and as well as it's a very critical component to keeping our fleets moving out there. So I got my friends over at Coltrain Onsite back on the show, but I got Mr. Chris Boyce joining us here today. So Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
No, I'm looking forward to this, man. And, I always like to start the show off because, I'm not a mechanic. I had a lot more, put it this way, my experience wrenching on trucks was my dad yelling at me for not knowing what tools were when I was a child. But, we'll skip that backstory today, man. But dude, how did you get into that? Like, what brought you into that vertical?
Yeah. So I appreciate that. I can relate to your dad yelling at you right, about the tools. So never thought I would be in the business, to be honest with you. My dad kind of instilled a hard work ethic in me. He always had me working outside on the house or something. So kind of a quick story related to that was one time he told me to put oil in the lawnmower, and he handed me a whole quart of oil. And I thought you could put the whole thing in there, and I did. And the next thing's smoking outside, in the backyard, and he's running out screaming like, "What did I do?" Right. So wasn't really in my blood, wasn't in my family. What happened really was I was going to college to try to pursue engineering. Really wanted mechanical engineering, but switched to electrical. And during that time, I was funding college myself, so I was working at Walmart TLE only because it paid more than being a warehouse person. And I had a friend that helped me get in there. So started kind of turning wrenches, doing oil changes and tire changes, things like that. And then about 2 years in, I had my first son, and I had to make a life-changing decision and say, hey, I've got to kind of drop out of college because I couldn't fund starting a family and trying to pursue college. So I actually had a friend that worked at Ryder Transportation that really took me under his wing as a mentor, his dad actually, and really started me at the ground level as a lube technician. And they instilled a lot of training at that company for me. And I worked there for about 10 years, under the wrench, and I really enjoyed it. Taking that same mindset of kind of that engineer mentality of I want to know how everything works, from every bolt and every circuit, everything, so that you can understand how to diagnose it. That's kind of more my skill set and superpower, I guess you'd say. I love that stuff, to problem solve, kind of that engineering background. So I was able to apply it without actually having to utilize it in a college degree. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really glad I took that path. It has afforded me a lot of connections and within an industry that has gained momentum, and I've seen it transform over time. And now today, I'm helping Coltrain Onsite, develop business across our footprint today as a regional vice president. So, without any full college training or anything, and not to boast about a title, I'm not a title guy, but just to say out there for guys that might be pursuing something in the industry, you can start knowing nothing. And as long as you have the will to get in there and get dirty and try to really understand how to repair vehicles, and then ultimately how to dissect the business itself, you can bring a lot of power to your own career and ultimately the industry. And that's really my focus now, is really being someone and part of a group of people that want to help the industry overall. I think transportation industry is super important to our country and overall our lifestyles as Americans. And I'm saying that just to say it. I really want to be a part of that. And everybody here, even at Coltrane, that's really what we're trying to be. The name of the game is being the solution for the industry. There's a lot of help that's needed out there, and there's a lot of ways you can get into this industry, and especially at the diesel mechanic or trailer mechanic role. Super needed. I think we all kind of know the shortage that's going on, and the skill set developing that's necessary. It's not a skill set that's faint of heart, but it's desired and needed. So you can make a really good lifestyle for your family and have fun doing it. It can be hard out there, especially as a mobile technician, but yeah, I can go into a lot more if you want. That's kind of the overview.
I know. I'd love to dive in a little bit more, further in that, because I think we're at a critical point in our country in regards to skilled labor and the blue collar jobs that are out there. I know that there's a lot of talk on there being almost critical shortages of mechanics that are out there, and it's not just like diesel mechanics; it's even down to like automotive mechanics. And I think I saw the CEO of Ford came out recently, was like, we have multiple, like hundreds of mechanic roles that are out there right now that we can't even get filled. So it's like, what advice would you give? Like, I guess we'll start with this. Is it required to have a college degree to become a diesel mechanic, or is this something that through on the job training, like the path that you took, learning, greasing trucks and everything, kind of building your way up? Is that a thing, or is there a requirement that you need a 2-year degree to be, like a diesel mechanic or a trailer mechanic?
Yeah, there's a lot of paths to the success of being a diesel mechanic or trailer mechanic. You can go the college route. There's a lot of technical institutions out there that do a great job of giving you the foundational basics necessary, the theory behind whatever application you really want to learn. These vehicles are very complex systems. They have multiple systems on them. Obviously, you're not just dealing with an engine. Within an engine, you're dealing with fuel systems and oil systems, air systems, exhaust systems, DPFs. I know a lot of people in this industry know what that's all about. Tires, brakes, all that. So there's a lot to learn, but there's a path to get there. So you can go to a technical institute. You can partner yourself with a company that desires entry-level technicians, and you can go ground up. A lot of it's going to, also come from your own personal will to learn. Most companies out there that deal in this space will have some type of entry-level position that you can usually have some type of mentorship or some type of formal education or on-the-job training. It's kind of a mix of both. You can see success out of either, and really, there's so many companies out there that need technicians, you'll find a path one way or the other. And if you're encouraged to get in a trade, I definitely encourage anybody out there that wants to try this to get into it in those two main paths. Find a company that has great, a great footprint within the transportation industry under diesel technology or trailer technology, or align yourself with an institution like a Lincoln Tech or something like that. There's a bunch of them out there, not just that one. But yeah, I would say one of those two paths is probably the way to go. Or you can start by tinkering with your car outside.
No, so it's like I look at it, like with where things are, and especially at Coltrain, like with mobile maintenance and stuff like that. Like, you don't necessarily need to be in a major metropolitan area or even within 30 miles of that to commute in. Like, you can literally bring this to the town you're from. Like we were talking before we started. Like, I'm from a town of 2,000 in northern Wisconsin, right? Like, we're 50 some miles outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's not a lot of guys who want to commute into the Twin Cities every single day to work. And, so it's like, I know a lot. I can't be the only one from small town America who thought that this town's just not for me. I want more than this. Or, I want a different career path that's out here, because opportunities are seemingly limited. And it looks like, to me, it seems like in today's day and age, like, there's so many more opportunities for career paths that are reaching those smaller communities now, where you can operate within 20 miles of your hometown, and you don't need to be doing a 2-hour commute each way every single day just to get a job that pays halfway decent.
Yeah, so especially in the mobile world, the mobile expansion into this industry has really afforded more alignment with technicians that live in some of the rural areas, and a lot of times that's where we live as technicians. We like to kind of get out in the sticks a little bit. It's part of the blood of a technician a lot of times. Like to be able to have some space to work on your own stuff. So with that said, and the freight's everywhere, right? And there's so many companies that need trucks outside of freight that service the local areas. So there's business within transportation everywhere, and it's needed everywhere. So the mobile industry has definitely afforded the availability for that. That's our bread and butter here at Coltrain, and we are able to align people that live outside of the main cities to still have enough work in their areas, or travel into the area where they're necessary to help customers out. So there's more opportunity, I'd say, today than there was probably 20, 30 years ago, for sure, with the onset of mobile on-site fleet care.
Mm-hmm. Is this something that you think it's going to be almost like the requirement now for, like, that mobile fleet care that's out there? Because it's like, as a business owner, it's like, why do I want to drive my truck 20 miles away to the nearest town to get it serviced, when I can have an opportunity like this? Do you think that that's kind of changing the way that most fleets are going to be maintaining their equipment here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people already have, gotten on that bandwagon too, because not only just being able to come to you and you're not having to drive, but we can come to you at night and the weekends and really try to optimize your uptime and eliminate downtime for you. And a lot of, reducing the amount of driver downtime or utilization on trying to take something for maintenance, especially around preventative maintenance. I'm sure that anybody that has having to take a vehicle to the shop, but shops are great. I don't want to,
Yeah.
throw them under the bus, but to do a preventative maintenance is something scheduled, something we can come out and do on site. They don't have to, use that driver to take it somewhere. If they get a good quality of PM, we can go over every follow-up that we find and work with the customer to determine when should we do these follow-ups now, or can they be deferred till next week. And we can have a little bit more personal relationship with somebody when we're coming on your side as well. That's a big piece of this business, the relationship side. You're not just dropping it off to four walls. We're coming in you, and our technicians have a lot of autonomy with the relationship as well. But yeah, to speak to your question, I think it's absolutely the wave of the future for it. I think shops still have the necessary means to do larger jobs, like large engine swaps and large warranty work, and things that you can't do safely out in the field. So they still have their place, but your routine maintenance that we can do about 90% of on your site helps that customer out, maintain their uptime, reduce the downtime, and take some of the worry out of How am I going to get this done? Who's going to take it? You can run your operation. We like to become partners with our customers and use that word instead of a customer. We want to understand how your business works, how your freight works, where your routes work, what is the best times for you. We really, in our business, we try to align the right technician, and proximity is part of that. The skill set's part of that. And also a little bit of vibe check is part of that. Is this person going to have ownership on your lot as well to make sure that you're successful and get your product to your customers?
So, uptime, my dad, obviously he drove, he always used to say, if my wheels aren't turning, I'm not earning. And, how are you guys able to kind of shift that mindset from like a reactive repair to a proactive repair, right? And talk about that, like the strategies that you can help implement inside of some of your guys' partners or your customers that are out there, where it's like, getting ahead of that, right? Because I think like it's the downstream repair effect that catches a lot of business owners by surprise, especially in the early stages of like when you're building, stuff out, and just like the importance of, because like I was also always taught growing up, like, hey, if you do your light maintenance, like it's almost I'm not saying that bigger problems don't happen, but it's like almost a rarity with vehicles, especially with the way that they're designed today, trucks, vehicles, everything. If you take care of that light maintenance, that those PMs that you're talking about, how much of a life cycle does that improve on the value of the asset, essentially?
Yeah, again, towards the business model, kind of speaking of, we really try to align our technicians with the customer. I mean, even before that, we're before we're onboarding the customer, we get first service. We want to try to learn about their business. A lot of times we already kind of know, but even at that location level, what are your normal operating hours? What type of vehicles you're running? What is the age of that fleet? Can we go out and walk around with you and look at those vehicles? And a lot of times determining what their PM cycles are, what are the issues that they're having in their fleet today. So a good interview at the customer level before we even get started as a partnership. We're a group of people that you can call us today and we'll come fix the one thing that you got. But what we're looking for is to help you be successful. So it takes a good interview up front with our customers, understanding what their pain points are, understanding even down to the type of vehicle that we see a lot of. Oh, we see a lot of these issues out of these vehicles. Here's what we can proactively do. Is this something you want to do? We'll do free fleet assessments for you on the first, assignment. We offer that all the time. Can we look over this your entire fleet for you? Give you some suggestions and things that we found, and then after day one, with that alignment to that right technician to that customer, it's not just, hey, we came out to replace a headlight. We also found that it looks like the alternator belt is fraying and it's cracking. I see that you have a wheel seal leak. You're getting pretty close to the brake linings. On top of doing a good preventive maintenance for the customer as well, being very thorough on that. We want to inspire ownership, not only from our leadership and sales personnel, but majorly at the technician level. Again, building the relationship at that local level between the technician and the customer directly, and having them have ownership over your fleet as well is the path to success. Not just coming and changing out the one thing you wanted. Let us be the partner and an expert for you, so you don't have to worry about that, and you can trust us. And we breed that by a lot of those interactions and maintaining that relationship and having as many touch points as possible with our customers.
So like, again, obviously maintenance is an expense for a lot of, really anybody who owns any piece of equipment that's out there. But I think a lot of people look at it from like an hourly rate perspective, right? Like I'm not a mechanic, but I would assume that's probably one of the top questions is what's the hourly rate to come out there? How are you guys like really working with your customers to kind of see like the total cost of ownership of like the savings that actually come by having you guys come to them, whether it's, fuel, driver time, driver pay, potential downtime that could come if you guys don't, take that proactive approach to it?
Yeah, obviously rate's always a point of interest for a customer. They need to reduce the cost of ownership in those vehicles, and totally understand that as well. I think we've done a good job here to make sure that we're maintaining market rates, and we're not driven by rates necessarily. We want to figure out the way that's going to best serve you and have a long-lasting partnership. And we understand that rate's part of that. And exactly what you were alluding to, part of that cost of ownership is a long-standing program to maintain the vehicles. And what we'll see a lot of is we may enter a customer that's already had very good practices, and it just becomes maintaining their fleet at that point. So it's kind of a flat cost of ownership. Or we come into some customers that have not had great vendors or the availability to put together some type of maintenance program, and we can explain, hey, cost of ownership is going to be a little bit high right here, but we're going to get you to a place where your downtime is much less. You can rely on your vehicles. Your drivers are not as upset because the things aren't going down. They're happier about the vehicles that they're in, and that's a big piece for any freight hauler. You want your drivers to be happy, just like we want our technicians to be happy. So there's a lot that goes into that. It's a necessary evil of the business that these things turn a lot, and it's going to require maintenance. And if you partner with people that will be experts for you and see those items that are failure points on a routine basis, it will reduce. So to kind of analyze what a rate should be, it really depends on the fleet too. What are we looking at? It goes into that introduction and that interview around what they're needing. We're flexible. We've got to run a business. Obviously, we've got to cover our costs as well, but we're not somebody that's rate hungry. We're partnership hungry. We know over the long haul, if you trust us and we maintain that partnership over the long term, the money is not the issue. It's the partnership that we want to maintain and be a quality vendor across the board. We want these things safe on the road. We want your wives and husbands and children safe beside the vehicles that we're working on, and that's more of the main focus. The rate is kind of market driven as well, so we're more focused on how can we serve the industry.
I could only imagine again, the cost of, again, of ownership of any piece of equipment out there is probably exponentially reduced when you do have a structured preventative maintenance schedule in place. And, again, it's like, I feel like reducing variable costs is such a concern for any business that's out there. And, and especially in side of trucking when it comes to, breakdowns and everything else. And it's like, I look at it is partnering with, guys like yourselves that are out there and really taking it, because it's like what are some of those advanced diagnostic tools that are like at your disposal now, to where it's like, again, it's almost like I feel like you're going to have to get like a mindset shift from some people where it's like, oh no, every time I bring it here, they have all of this stuff. How closely aligned are your guys' equipment when you guys are showing up on site to like the tools and the capabilities of a shop?
Yeah. So I can't say that we can touch everything that's on a vehicle. Won't make that stretch, but we can touch 90% of what the problems are. We're using a couple different diagnostic tools as far as like your engine diagnostics. We're always trying out new things. We've been in the industry a long time, and we've seen that technology develop as well. So there's some great things out there from a computer diagnostic standpoint, and we're using a couple different ones. We even try some out in different markets to see what's better. There's a big cost in that. I'll say anybody that owns a shop knows that you can range from a tool that costs $800 all the way up to $10,000, depending if you need OEM software and things like that. So again, that comes down to the interview with the customer. What's necessary? Are we going to need direct OEM software? And if so, we got to figure that out. But we're using advanced diagnostics that are a multi-platform tool. Generally going out on site. Outside of that, we equip our trucks with Miller generator, welder, compressors, so the technicians have all they need to do the basic functions with their power tools. And technicians have their own set of tools that they put on the truck as well. And the truck itself as a tool to get on site and have the necessary components on it is all there. We have tools like being able to test all the lights on a trailer, torque wrenches to make sure we're torquing wheels down properly. That we have the kitchen sink generally on the vehicle. If you want to qualify your question a little further, like we can, if you want to go in further into diagnostics, it definitely can go into that. But anything that hangs on the engine, anything that code reading, things like that, we can 100% do that. Sometimes when it comes to more OEM specific warranty guided items that are kind of locked out on a generic all makes diagnostic tool, we don't always have that capability depending on the site, but we can align with that. We can purchase those items as well. Just depends on what the need is in that market.
So what's the, again, I always like to preface when I ask questions like this, like I'm not a diesel mechanic. All right. So this is, you're probably going to hear this and be like, duh. But like for me personally, how are you guys ensuring, like, if there's a client of yours that maybe they run Peterbilt, International, Volvo, like how are you, working with them to ensure that like, hey, our techs, or, even on the trailer side of things, right? There's multiple OEMs that are out there for trailer manufacturers. How are you ensuring that like, hey, your technicians are able to service all makes and models of that?
Yeah, for the most part, most of it's nuts and bolts, right? At the
Yeah.
theory of most things. And again, at the interview with the customer, we look at that. What do you have personally on your yard? Let's look at your fleet list. Let's look at the type of vehicles you're running. And then before we go on site, generally, and we're more in the scheduled maintenance business, I'll say that. We'll do some EMS stuff as long as it's safe. But what you're asking is more about like how you cast the broad net. Uh, the only way you can really truly be successful is you try to understand that fleet itself directly, and then you align the technician that makes the most sense. A lot of the three rules I give is I'll align you with somebody that has the proximity, availability, and the skill set to take care of you routinely. I want that same person coming on the yard 90% of the time. They'll understand your SOP, they'll understand your fleet. So um, uh, there's a tool for everything, and I don't want to speak to technicians that way. There's a technician for every application as well, and their skill sets vary. So it takes us as leaders and working with our teams, and really understanding our technicians on our teams to understand what skill set they have and try to align that. So you're not going to find every technician that has the skill set to do everything. I was never that guy either. Humbly, I think I was pretty good. I feel like I was a pretty good technician, but there's things that have stumped me plenty of times in the past, and we go through that daily. But we have the confidence that at the theory level of maintaining a vehicle, those nuts and bolts are there. The things that you run into that are more difficult are the advanced diagnostics on a certain engine system. On maybe they've had this addition on a Detroit that they didn't have on a Cummins, or I know Caterpillar kind of got out of the game, or on an International. There may be some nuances, and a lot of times too, internal chatter. Man, our team is really good about working with each other. And we might have a technician in Cincinnati that's perfect on these internationals, and we call down to Florida and say, "Hey, what have you run into?" We'll use other means of diagnostics too, trouble trees to run OEM, but even that kind of stuff can get expensive if you have every OEM's platform. So it's industry knowledge too. We don't have technicians that haven't been in the industry, under 10 years really. We're finding the best people in the industry to align to our teams. And that's really our model at Coltrain too. That's the only way you can build a team of greatness, is having great people on your team and relying on their expertise. So a lot of it's based on that as well. We know that they're tried and true people that have been in the industry long enough and have seen enough. So, and they're willing to speak up if, hey, this is beyond my wheelhouse. Let's figure that out together. All of our leadership within our team have grown up like me too, have been in the trenches of with the wrenches. And so there's a lot of expertise, deep industry knowledge. So it's a long way to tell you, like, not that we can solve everything, but we have a lot of experience. We have passed to make sure that we can help a customer out. And if we can't, we'll be honest, and we'll help try to defer that to a shop or a vendor that can. Our goal is to make sure that that truck is up and running, that trailer can make its delivery. So.
Oh man, I love it. I mean, it makes complete sense, right? Like as a business owner myself, that's my ability to tell customers what I can't do, I think is almost as, if not more valuable than what I can do out there, to make sure that I'm servicing them to their needs and like the best of my capabilities. And, I guess as we're kind of wrapping up here this morning, Chris, what's one thing that, one maintenance metric that you think owner ops or fleet owners should be tracking that they might not be tracking today?
Ooh, I would assume they're tracking downtime and PM currencies and things like that. Some do, some don't. I would say that's definitely one of the top ones. It's there's no rocket science there. Definitely, you want to make sure that you're on top of your PM currencies, and especially on your downtime as well. When I was a manager at Ryder Transportation, after being a technician, that was a big part of what we had to do to be successful. It was kind of ingrained into us that we must maintain a good PM currency because it will reduce downtime, and then the time units down, what the time frame is on that. I wish I could give you some intrinsic, detailed response there, but that's really what it comes down to. If you're maintaining your vehicles on a repetitive schedule at the OEM, request rates, you're going to have success out of your fleet. There's going to be issues that come up, but as long as you're having enough touch points on your vehicles and finding good partners that you can trust to maintain those vehicles for you is a big win, right? If you know a guy, go call the guy, right? And that's a big part of the success of maintaining your fleet.
No, man, it makes sense, right? I think like at the end of the day, it's like having a system is better than not having anything at all when it comes down to it, especially from a preventative maintenance thing. And, again, we want to increase our fleet's uptimes and keep people moving out there. But Chris, I appreciate your time this morning. Like this, again, I always love talking to guys like you who are on that side of the industry. Because I'm like such a novice when it comes to this stuff. It's like kindergarten all over for me, man. It's just the excitement of just learning a new vertical inside of the industry. So how does anybody reach out to you guys? If you guys are hiring techs or anything like that, man, put all that information out there for people to get in touch.
Yeah, so we have our website you can reach out to for all those types of things at coltrainonsite.com. Feel free to go on there and noodle around. You can see kind of our growth path as we grow into each state. You can see, our coverage there and some cool stories too about some of the people that are on our team. But you can also put requests in for, if we want, to partner with us for us to service your fleet. If you want to join our team as a field manager or as a field technician, we're always looking for great people. We want to be the greatest in the industry, so we're always looking for great people and great partners. I would say defer to that coltrainonsite.com, and you can connect with us there.
Perfect. Chris, thank you so much for your time today. If you guys can't find Coltrain out there on the internet, hit me up, you guys. I will gladly put you guys in direct contact with them. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value, that's how your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Ayy, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the bag. Ayy, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast.